discovering cross-technology relationships. So, scanning data and inferring relationships across different technology stacks. For the most part, this is going to be understanding the relationship between databases and messages, and also potentially API inputs. So the ETD software allows us to hunt for relationships across technologies. You can understand common data elements as they travel through your data estate, so you can truly understand where your data is. This allows you to mask data consistently. Being able to apply the same masking is critical for accurate and consistent testing. And also, when it comes to generating data, you can generate data that matches with dependent systems, as you now fully understand where the cross-data commonality occurs. So let's take a look at how it works. So in this example, we're going to be pulling data together from 3 different databases. First one is customer data in a SQL Server database. Second one is some product data in a Postgres database, and another SQL Server database containing transaction data. So what we do is we move the data, or copy the data, into a central MicroDB. So let's just have a look. And we use some high-performance scripts, and what they will do is they will create local copies of the data, and we extract it from the various source systems and put them into a common location. Each table is uniquely named, and all we have to do is run those scripts. We have a controller list, which basically tells us where the data is coming from and where it's going to, and that will create that data and push it into our central database. So once we have the data in our central database, then we can run our standard hunting for potential relationships and also our data validation. So we'll just execute that. So we fill in the MicroDB where we've pushed the data. We're going to scan 50,000 rows looking for potential relationships, and we can fire that job off. So we'll just do that. Then we'll take a look at the results, and within that we will find a CSV which contains the potential relationships. We will use all of our standard deep pattern analysis to try and look for relationships, and we'll give you some analysis in terms of how likely the relationships are. In this case, they look pretty strong. Once we have that, we can then move on to validating the data to make sure that the data does actually match with our suggested potential relationships. So let's run our database validation, and we fire that off. Now let's take a look at the results, and we can see a couple of them have a whole bunch of errors in there, which would suggest that they are not potential relationships that we should be adding into a database, and we can remove those from the CSV. Or when we add the relationships in, we can choose to look at the validation report that we just created and ignore any ones with a significant number of errors. So let's just move on to the next phase, which is adding the relationships. Again, we are browsing and finding that CSV, and we can fire that off, and that will add in the relationships into our 3 different databases, and I'll just quickly show you what that looks like in the entity diagrammer. So here you can see the internal relationships, which have also been added with the customer table and the product table, and then you will see these cross relationships showing up from the transaction database, linking back up into the products and to the customers. If you go to the definition, you'll also see what we call cross-definition foreign keys, and that's how these relationships are also displayed within the tool. So that's it. That's how you set up cross-database, cross-technology relationships.